Madam President.
The senator from Iowa.
Madam President, I rise today on behalf of Iowa's farmers and ranchers in support of the Agricultural Improvement Act of 2018, or what we refer to as the Farm Bill. Thank you, Chairman Roberts and Ranking Member Stabenow, for bringing this critical piece of bipartisan legislation to the floor for consideration. Farmers, ranchers, and rural communities are resilient, some of the toughest in the face of adversity. But low commodity prices, trade tensions, and unpredictable weather have taken a toll on many of our folks back home. These are the people that Americans rely on day in and day out to put food on our tables, clothes on our backs, and fuel in our cars. And in trying times, it is essential that we provide farmers and ranchers with the certainty and the predictability they need and they deserve. These folks helped guide my priorities for this bipartisan farm bill, which maintains a robust crop insurance, it makes improvements to commodity programs, and it promotes soil health and water quality. I'm thankful that several of my provisions and amendments can be found within this bill. Long overdue reforms to the Conservation Reserve Program will refocus the program's intent on highly erodible and environmentally sensitive land and provide opportunities for the next generation of American farmers to access land to build economically viable farm operations. This bill also strengthens the ARC County program, limiting payment discrepancies and ensuring farmers receive the necessary support they deserve. It also puts farmers first by providing critical support and mental health resources to those in need or those facing tough times. I do want to note one area of the bill where I think we need to do more, and that is on the issue of SNAP reform. Most notably, the bill misses an opportunity to help able-bodied SNAP recipients rise up out of poverty. SNAP is a program that is relied on by children, in addition to elderly Americans, people with disabilities, and many working families who are struggling to make ends meet. No American should go hungry, and SNAP provides critical assistance to our most vulnerable citizens. And we also have an obligation to ensure that this safety net does not perpetuate a cycle of poverty and is not abused by those who should not be taking this benefit. Unfortunately, we have seen some shocking stories that show how SNAP has at times been misused. For example, I'm reminded of the 28-year-old lobster-eating, Cadillac Escalade driving surfer from San Diego, California, who had not worked in over a year and was receiving food stamps. He was unabashedly abusing the system and taking benefits away from those that need those benefits the most. Surfing is a pretty physically active sport. I think we can all agree to that. And it was safe to presume that this young man was able-bodied. We should not allow this type of behavior to continue. And we should not allow more examples of people taking advantage of a safety net that is set up to help those that need it the most. While this example is an exception, rather than the rule. I'm concerned that the ability to abuse the system could increase the number of folks that simply choose back and sit and decide they will also ride the free waves, rather than get in the game and return to employment. We need to encourage those who can to start working again. Getting people back to work is the most effective way to prevent poverty, both in the near term and for people's long-term stability. Programs like SNAP should encourage able-bodied adults to participate in the labor force. According to the Census Bureau, 30.5% of adults who did not work lived in poverty in 2016. However, on the flip side, just 2.2% of full-time workers and 14.7% of part-time or part-year workers lived below the poverty line. Folks who are employed are not only better off financially, they also benefit from the sense of purpose and confidence that comes from a job. As I always say, there is dignity in a job. Take, for example, April, a Missouri woman who was on government assistance from the age of 16 to the age of 30, receiving food stamps and housing assistance. When she was caught shoplifting, she was forced to do community service. She volunteered at Watered Gardens, a rescue mission in Joplin where folks living in poverty get the help they need while they are also working at the gardens. April was so inspired by her time there that she started a women's discipleship center in her community and is now living a fulfilling life. SNAP currently requires able-bodied adults without dependents to work, participate in training, or volunteer for at least 20 hours a week to receive assistance. That's the current requirement. But unfortunately, 35% of Americans live in an area where work requirements for able-bodied adults without dependents have been waived. They've been waived. Of the 1,200 areas where this has been waived, over half have unemployment rates below 5%. Over 500 of those areas are at full employment. These waivers were intended for states and communities that are experiencing economic downturns, not states like California, which has a statewide waiver despite a record low 4.2% unemployment. Our economy is booming right now. We have a 3.8% unemployment rate. And for the first time on record, the number of job openings exceeds the number of Americans looking for work. This is the best possible time for us to encourage work among able-bodied SNAP recipients. That's why I introduced an amendment that would strengthen the waiver process to ensure that areas with low levels of unemployment are not exempt from SNAP's requirement for able-bodied adults without dependents to work, train, or volunteer. I plan to offer this amendment today. I'm not going to, because I want to keep the Farm Bill moving for the sake of our farmers. But I do want to see this done at conference. Despite its imperfections, we have a bill before us that will feed hungry Americans, protect natural resources, mitigate risk, and support rural jobs. With heavy rainfall this past week across northern Iowa, some hardworking men and women are now facing even greater challenges. Flooded fields have producers worrying about crop damage. This all underscores the need for a strong and reliable safety net and timely passage of the Farm Bill. The goal and absolute requirement is to provide the farmers and ranchers across our nation the certainty and the predictability they deserve during difficult times. I look forward to working alongside my colleagues to meet this goal by passing this Farm Bill, and I encourage support. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.